I'm watching Jason Whitlock again, and he's talking about Shedeur Sanders, Arch Manning, and Bronny James, and a little bit Bryce James, about when you were growing up and like in your prime is what you think is the best. So somebody that grew up like I did watching Michael Jordan, I think he's the best. Or people growing up now think LeBron James is the best. So I guess my pushback on that is, does anyone think Arch Manning or Archie is better than Peyton? That grew up watching Archie down in New Orleans, did any of them think that he was better than Peyton? Or Eli? I mean, he's a two-time Super Bowl champion. So I guess that kind of deflates it. And also, when you're playing football, basketball, baseball, hockey, tennis, soccer, whatever sport it is, if you're chasing being rich and fame versus being great at that sport, you're never going to be as good as the person that's just with the exact same amount of talent as you and work ethic. They're going to be better at that sport because your work ethic isn't necessarily going to go all to your sport. It's going to go to making more money and being famous. So you're going to spend more time on a podcast or social media or whatever to raise your stock. And you're going to practice and train in a way so you can look good, so you can make more money. Not necessarily what makes you truly better at your sport and a better winner at your sport. And you can say that being better at your position will make you ultimately better, but if it's selfish, I disagree. So I think the underlying, it's going to be really hard for people to be better now than it was 20 years ago just because of the money involved and social media and fame. It's really hard to be great at something when money and fame is the reason you want to be great at something. Like that's, if you can't make money and be famous at it, then you're like, who cares? So if football, all of a sudden you're not famous, you don't make a lot of money, screw it. I'll do something else where 30, 40 years ago, you didn't get rich, really. Well, like, Shannon Sharp was one of the best tight ends in the league for years and years and years. And I think he's talked about like 10, 13-ish million throughout his career. And he had a pretty long career for a tight end and was one of the best throughout his tenure. Where tight ends are making more than 13 million now. Not even like the best are making more than 13 million per year. And you can't say, well, it's inflation. It's not that much. It's because they're making so much more money now from TV deals, and they've gone off of Fox, CBS, and NBC and ABC. Like they're on cable, and they have Netflix deals and YouTube deals and everything else. So there's more money involved because they're not making it as readily available to the common viewer. So I guess my underlying point is I don't think that a lot of people are being nostalgic these days that grew up like I did. I started watching football in the mid 90s. Like, I remember on ESPN, they had a segment called You Got Jacked Up! And it was about the biggest hits. Now they have to condemn that person that they were glorifying before. So it just takes away the toughness of the game. And I heard somebody talking about yesterday, it was on Jason Whitlock's podcast, and he was saying that playing quarterback now is so much easier. That's why I say, like, yeah, Tom Brady's the best winner, but Dan Marino has to be the best quarterback ever. He's putting up now numbers in the 80s. Like, like, they could kill him. Like, literally try to kill him. There were probably bounties out on him trying to hurt him and take him out, and yet he's putting up now numbers in the 80s. And he said that's why, this guy on the podcast said that's why they can play so long. They're so protected. Because he was talking about Josh Allen doing the flip on Monday night where he should have taken another step and turned and thrown it, and he could have probably gotten it there. And then Jason Whitlock made the comment, well, he'll get lit up. And he was like, no, he won't. They're so protected. Like, they're such a small, like, you have basically from belly button to nipples to hit the guy. Because if you go above nipples, then you're probably going to hit the head. And if you go below the belly button, well, that's hips maybe lower. So, just, it's definitely easier playing the game today. Unless you're on defense. But even then, because they've talked about how with the like without you being able to practice really hardly and no one really playing preseason, that they've dumbed it down so much and they just made it easier to play defense and offense because you can't practice. So you have to make it easier and be able to just walk through it and get it versus do it. So I hope I'm not just being an old man. I'm getting old, but I hope that's not what I'm being, and I have enough awareness to see, because some things, like movies, like they kept getting better and better CGI, but now you'll see movies where they're not as good as they were 15, 20 years ago. It's like, how can all our AI technology and all this stuff, but yet the CGI on movies is getting worse? That can't be for, like, because I remember video games, like, thinking, oh my gosh, this is so good, and then I go back and play, like, I remember after the PlayStation 4 came out, I went and played PlayStation 2, and I'm like, I thought this was good. This is terrible. Like, it was horrific as far as graphics and everything compared to the PlayStation 4. But yet now it's starting to, like, hit a wall where we're going back down because everyone's made it so expensive to do it as good as possible. So we have to revert back and make it cheaper, and I don't understand. I don't get it. But like I said before, I do not understand this world. I'm not even 40 yet, and I don't recognize it from 20 years ago. I can't imagine someone in their 50s, 60s, 70s. Can't imagine how they feel.